Good evening. Welcome to Dispatch, the weekly variety show for model railroaders. I'm Roy Smith, your dispatcher. I want to welcome those of you who are here in the studio audience. I see you got my memo. I am so glad you could join me tonight. I also want to welcome all of you out there on YouTube. You model railroaders are my best friends in the whole world. Thank you for letting me share the hobby with you. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you tonight, so don't go away. We'll be right back after this brief message. On this channel, we share the world's greatest hobby with you in Dispatch every Tuesday night and layout updates every Saturday morning right here. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe. Okay, coming up on tonight's show, your layout photos, the question of the week, your comments, a big shout out, and another special guest appearance by Justin Case, who is going to talk to us about the perfect Christmas presents for model railroaders. Okay, first up on tonight's show, your layout photos. Once again, many of you have posted photos of your layouts this week in a Facebook group called the N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision Group. And as always, I have brought your photos over here to Dispatch to share with everyone during the show. Here they are. Now, when Dispatch ends tonight, I want you to go over to the Facebook group, join the group, and post a photo of your layout there. Why would you want to do that? Because we model railroaders like to share the hobby with each other. That's why. It doesn't matter what scale you model in, and you can even post photos of your club's layout. I will put a link down below in the description to this video that will take you to the Facebook group where you can post your photos. When you see this photo of Echo Canyon on my layout, you will know you're at the right place. Now, next up on tonight's show, the question of the week. Our question for this week is, what do you feel is the single biggest constraint you face in the hobby? Is it space, time, money, skill, or something else? Here's how you all responded to this question. The constraints of space, time, and money each resulted in a large number of responses. Skill and knowledge about the hobby also had a significant number of responses. Several of you said you are affected more by other constraints, including indecision or lack of motivation, a lack of product availability, or health issues. Of course, it can be difficult to select your one biggest constraint because the constraints often overlap. As one of you put it, when you are working, you have money for the hobby but little time to spend on the layout. And when you are not working, you have time to spend on the layout but little money to do it. My biggest constraint is a lack of adequate space in which to build my dream layout. Leonora and I have a fairly large house here in Panama, but I'm confined to a spare bedroom that measures only 10 feet by 12 feet, and there's no way I can expand beyond that. The idea of building a multi-level layout as a solution to this problem doesn't appeal to me, other than my lower level staging yard. So I will just have to be content with what I've got, and I think that what I've got will keep me busy for years to come. I'd like to thank all of you for your responses to this week's question. I hope the question has given you something to think about, and I hope your responses to the question will help newcomers to the hobby in planning their layouts. Now, I'd like to propose a question for the coming week, and that question is, what do you think is the single biggest mistake that newcomers to the hobby make? I encourage you to post your responses to this question in the comments section down below. Then I will share your responses right here in Dispatch next week. Remember, the question for the coming week is, what do you think is the single biggest mistake that newcomers to the hobby make? And now it's time for your comments. This past Saturday, I uploaded a video called Continuous versus Point-to-Point Running in Model Railroading. In recent Saturday morning layout updates, I've been renovating the Evanston and Granger area of my layout. But I set aside this renovation long enough this past Saturday to show you how I can run trains in continuous loops and point-to-point on my layout. Let's take a look at a bit of the video in which I showed you this. This eastbound tank car train departs the staging yard en route to the oil refinery at Sinclair, Wyoming. It climbs the western helix to reach the scenic part of my layout. The train passes through Echo Canyon, which is the best spot for rail fanning, both on the prototype and on my layout. The train now arrives at Evanston and Granger Junction on my layout. This is the area of my layout that I have been currently renovating. You've seen me working on it in recent videos. The train is now crossing Green River and in a moment will arrive at the western end of the classification yard in the town of Green River. The train will stop here for a crew change. With a new crew now aboard, the train continues eastbound. The train is now passing White Mountain, which sits atop the eastern helix. The helix takes the train down to staging tracks representing Cheyenne and all points east. The train is now arriving at its destination in staging. A whole bunch of you posted comments in response to the video. Here's what a few of you had to say. Michael Dunn wrote, "Roy is at it again, entertaining all of us with his great layout, and this time he outdid himself. Trains running for the entire video. Hooray! Christmas comes early for us watchers, direct from Panama City." Thank you, Roy, for the early gift. Michael, it was a delight to read your comment. I want you to know how much I appreciate it. You are very kind. It's a real pleasure to share the hobby with you. Trainman Bob wrote, "Super explanatory video, Roy. I know that with good planning and imagination, you can achieve marvelous layouts." Thanks, Bob. A certain amount of planning must precede the actual construction of any layout. But it's amazing just how often we end up modifying our plans as we build and then operate our layouts. A plan is just a guide and nothing more than that, and we can expect to make changes in the plan as we go. And Doug Dilly wrote, "Nice job, Roy. This is one of my favorite videos in your collection. Your track plan works well, and your scenery is outstanding. Thank you for your very nice comment, Doug. I appreciate it. YouTube analytics tell me that this particular video is turning out to be far more popular than I could have ever imagined it would be. Doug, you inspire me to bring you quality content to the best of my ability. In just 4 days, this video has surpassed 7,000 views, and the view count is continuing to climb rapidly. Let's make the video go viral on YouTube. To do that, I urge you to share the link to it in your social media. And if you still haven't seen continuous versus point-to-point running in model railroading, I will put a link to it down below. Go over and watch it after dispatch ends tonight. Don't be the only kid on your block who still hasn't seen it. And now, it's time for tonight's big shout-out. And tonight's big shout-out goes to Tyler and his H.O. Scale, Pennsylvania Railroad. I contacted Tyler and asked him about his layout. Here's just a bit of what he told me. He said his layout covers the area of central Pennsylvania from Tyrone to South Fork, with Altoona, the Horseshoe Curve, the Gallitzin Tunnels, and Crescent in between. Altoona is located at the center of his layout and features a large yard and engine facilities. There are staging yards at either end of the layout, so Tyler has based his layout on a real prototype railroad, but he has also thrown in some freelance elements where needed. Tyler began to build his layout in 2009, but tore down that original layout in 2018 in order to begin building the new, more prototypical one, his current one, that he has been working on since November 2018. Tyler says his layout can be operated as point-to-point from staging at either end of the layout, or it can be operated as a continuous loop. Tyler had a lot more to say to me about his layout, but to fully appreciate what he has done, let's go over and take a look at a clip from a layout update which he uploaded yesterday.
So I figured I'd show you guys what I've been getting done and how this layout works. This is downtown Altoona. This is Crescent up here. This is the Altoona yard, which for my layout is pretty famous because this is where everything happens. That, as if I even need to explain, is Horseshoe Curve. And this is Tyrone. So the best way to explain this is it is a continuous run loop that can operate point to point. So when I just want to run trains, I can start a train in Tyrone. It'll go around, it'll go up through Horseshoe Curve, come around, it'll go back down Horseshoe Curve on the inside track, come the whole way around back into Tyrone, all by itself. So it'll look like it's going somewhere and coming back from that area, which is kind of a nice thing, so that when I just want to sit back and run trains, I can do that and it feels like it's actually going somewhere rather than just going in circles. And then obviously when I operate trains, you go from lower staging to upper staging to lower staging, and you run the coal mine. So that should just about cover the overview, the dimensions, the towns. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on, so hopefully I'll have a lot of videos coming up. So I hope you guys enjoy. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.
Okay, you've had a chance to see a bit of Tyler's impressive layout in this clip from his latest layout update. Now I want you to go over to his channel and see the rest of it, because in it, he gives you a detailed description of his layout and how it operates. And be sure to subscribe to Tyler's channel while you're over there and tell him that Roy Smith sent you. I will put a link to his channel down below. Tyler, if you're out there somewhere watching this, I just want to say how much I appreciate your layout. Since I myself am originally from Pennsylvania, I have an affinity for layouts that are set in Pennsylvania, such as yours. Thank you for letting me share it with everyone here on Dispatch tonight. You can be sure that I will be watching your continued progress, and I hope that everyone else comes along too. Now, as promised, Mr. Justin Case is joining us via Skype all the way from Pennsylvania. Justin tells me that tonight he is going to talk about perfect Christmas gifts for model railroaders. Just in time for Christmas. Justin, thank you for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure to be here. So, Justin, what should we give to our model railroad friends for Christmas this year? Well, everybody knows them model railroaders are the daggone hardest people in the world to shop for. They's always going on about getting the right scale and the right road name and the right era, and they don't want no duplicate road numbers on their layouts either. So I'm going to tell you what are the 10 best Christmas gifts that'll please even the most nitpicky of them model railroaders. Interesting, Justin. Please go ahead. Okay, number one. Yep, that seems like a good place to start. Number one, the perfect track plan. It's hard for model railroaders to come up with the perfect track plan, so I done it for you. And you can have a copy of the plan. Just send me $19.95 and I'll send it to you for free. 2, the perfect locomotives. Now, wouldn't a locomotive like this one look great just running around and around on any old HO or N-scale layout? 3, if your model railroad friend models an HO scale, it don't matter. Just give him some of this N-scale track. That way he'll be happy because he can get twice as much railroad in the same space. 3, static brass. This is what I'm giving to all of my model railroad friends for Christmas because I got truckloads of this stuff and I can't seem to get rid of it any other way. 5, wire. That's what every model railroader needs, more wire, because every model railroader loves to do wiring on his layout. 6, a bottle of this here isopropyl alcohol, because every model railroader loves to clean his track, and this here isopropyl alcohol will help him do a good job of it. Just make sure he doesn't start drinking this here stuff, because them model railroaders get confused pretty easy, and they start thinking that isopropyl alcohol is for drinking. 7, a bag of cat litter. Yes, sirree, Bob, cat litter. I just know your model railroader friend would be really happy with a bag of cat litter because he can use it for ballasting all of that there track on his layout. Just make sure you buy him new cat litter and don't be thinking you can get away with cheap stuff by just wrapping him up some used cat litter. 8, how about this here? A copy of my new book, How to Wire Your Model Railroad When You Ain't Got No Wire. In this here book, I explain that you don't need no wire. And I explain how you can just throw out all those there fancy DC systems you've been using to run your trains and start running your whole layout with nothing more than a couple of these here batteries. Just send me $49.95 plus $13.95 for postage, and I'll send you a copy of my book for absolutely free. But the batteries ain't included. 9, now here's a gift the model railroader who's thinking he wants to build himself a basement-sized empire would appreciate. White styrofoam. That's right, white styrofoam. Get him some of these big sheets of white styrofoam like this. It's a gift he'll really appreciate because he can use it to build his benchwork. Now, whatever you give the model railroader in your life, just be sure to wrap it up in this here shaper sheet stuff. Because when he's done opening up that there gift you gave him, he can mosey on over to his train room and spend the rest of Christmas Day using the shaper sheet to build himself some more mountains or something on his layout. Of course, if you still don't know what to get him, maybe you shouldn't get him nothing at all, because he probably already has more stuff than he needs right there in his train room. If you don't get him nothing, then you won't end up disappointing him by not giving him the gift he really wanted. Or how about this? You could just give him a big wad of $20 bills and let him go out and buy himself something. Heck, that way he probably would have enough money to buy himself a box car. And he might even have enough money left over to even buy himself a bottle of that there isopropyl alcohol to drink on Christmas Day when he's running his trains all day long. Well, that's all I got to say about gifts for model railroaders at Christmas. Remember, it's the thought that counts. Wait a minute, Justin. You promised to suggest 10 gifts, but you only mentioned 9. Well, daggone it! I must have left number 10 back there in my train room somewheres. Well, don't worry about it, Justin. The 9 gifts you suggested are more than enough. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Justin Case and his 9 suggestions for model railroad gifts at Christmas. Thank you, Justin. I hope we will see you again very soon. Now, I hope you will join me again right here this coming Saturday morning when I plan to show you the progress I am making in the ongoing renovation of the Evanston and Granger area of my layout. In the meantime, don't forget to respond to the question for the coming week. What do you think is the single biggest mistake that newcomers to the hobby make? I want to thank all of you here in the studio audience and out there on YouTube for joining me here on Dispatch tonight. But the fun doesn't have to end now. Just click over here to watch more videos. I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.